Hey, it's Tim Patterson at Tradeshowguy.net. I thought for a quick video this week we could look at some of the math on trade show lead generation. Now, I understand that every show is different, every booth is different, every company is different, but let's look at some hypotheticals here so we can get an idea of what we're talking about, how to game it out and figure out what kind of things you need to think about to get the amount of leads you want. Let's say, for example, that in the past, you've gotten 200, 210 leads, 220. You're thinking, we can ramp that up to 300. So what does it take to get 300 leads? And let's say, for example, again, hypothetically speaking, you've got a 3-day show and there are 7 hours in a day. So that's 21 hours your booth will be open. So 300 leads divided by 21 hours, you need to gather about 14 leads per hour, or about 1 lead every 4 minutes. And we can argue back and forth about the veracity of a lead, how valuable it is, whether it's a hot lead, cold lead, a warm lead, whatever. But nonetheless, let's just call them all leads just for the sake of argument here. So when it comes to booth visitors, let's say in the past you've said, well, we have a lot of people coming through our booth, and about 1 in 5 is a pretty good candidate to become a lead and put them in our sales funnel. So out of the 20% of those, maybe 1 in 3 is an A lead. So we've defined it a little bit down to the leads that you really want. So that means about 1 in 15 booth visitors becomes one of those leads that you really want. Now, it takes some qualification, takes some talking, but 300 leads overall at 1 every 4 minutes means you need about 1,500 visitors per day. So for a 3-day show, that's about 4,500 visitors. Let's say the attendance of the show is roughly 70,000 and you're looking for 1,500 visitors a day, or you want 1 in every 46. Another way to look at it is 70,000 attendees divided by 300 leads is you need 1 out of every 233 of the visitors to be qualified to become a lead. So when it comes to booth space, let's say 1,500 visitors divided by 7 hours, that means about 214 per hour will have to stop by. And you need an average of 5 minutes with each qualified lead to qualify them. If they're not qualified, you politely excuse them and move on to the next one. That's about 1,000 minutes, okay? Following me? 1,000 minutes equals 16 2/3 hours. Again, these are all rough numbers. You need enough people to spend enough time, almost 17 hours per hour, to get all those leads, which means you need about 40 people in the booth at any given time, 20 of them reps for your company and 20 of them visitors. Again, these numbers could vary just a little bit. Real life, of course, is much different than that, but to go back to past shows, you can at least game it out a little bit. You set a baseline. You know that in the past you've had blank number of visitors. You can estimate that, and you know pretty well what the leads are and what they generated. So that's why you said we had 215 last show. We want to get 300. So you know somewhere along the way you've set a baseline. So from this exercise, you can kind of game it out. Make a plan. How much time do you need to spend? How many people you need to be there? How big of a booth you need? All that stuff kind of comes from how many leads do you want from the show based on how many visitors are going to be there and what you realistically would like to get out of the show. That's kind of look at the math on trade show lead generation. I'm sure there's a lot of ways to look at that, but that's the one way that I tend to game it out a little bit when it comes to figuring out how many leads you can get based on the size of the booth, the amount of people there, and so on and so forth. And you can find us all at Tradeshowguy.net.